Welcome back to the Jimbaux's Journal Patreon videos. Because I have invested plenty into my photography, and because it is such a huge part of who I am, I have long struggled to figure out just how I could earn a living off of photography. And I am excited by the idea that Patreon has finally given me a sufficient answer to that question. For a very long time, people who have liked my photography have said stuff like, "Oh, you should sell your pictures." Really? Sell pictures? How? As prints? Sure, a small percentage of my pictures are of the type that you might want as a wall print, like this shot of shrimp boats docked on Bayou Lafourche, or this Washington, D.C. scene, or this picture of Amtrak's northbound Crescent crossing Lake Pontchartrain at dawn, or this picture of Amtrak's southbound Crescent crossing Lake Pontchartrain at dusk, or this shot that I did of a lightning storm in Saskatchewan, or this zinger of a train shot that I got one winter day in Coahuila, or like these waterfall images from Oregon. And as I'll explain in a few minutes, contributing to my Patreon account gives you access to prints of these images or the original files themselves. But most of my pictures are not like that, are not the kinds of images of which you would want to print, but they still have value to you as a viewer. Most of my pictures have a great value just in being viewed and in being studied, but not in being printed. Does that make sense? Most of my pictures are not the types of images that you would want hanging on your walls, but still enrich you when you look at them. Like, for example, these images of Hurricane Katrina damage south of New Orleans. Or this image of these guys working on a historic railroad in New Mexico. Or these images of trains moving along the steep mountain grades of the railroads in the Thompson River Canyon in British Columbia, a very interesting place. Or these images of the opening of the Bonnie Carey Spillway in January 2016. Or this image of a railroad and automobile traffic jam in Gretna, Louisiana. Or these images from a demonstration outside of the Egyptian embassy in Washington, D.C. I doubt that you would want these images on your wall, but I'm also sure that you'll still find value in them by virtue of the fact that you view them and appreciate, imbibe, and are enriched by the story that they tell. So, with that said, I hope that you understand my problem, my deep frustration with the idea that I should try to earn a living by selling individual prints of individual images to individual customers. I hope that you can see that there's a moral problem to the print idea too, because to say that I should sell prints for money is to say that my ability to do something that I'm really good at doing should depend on me taking plenty of time doing something that I'm really not good at doing, which I think is silly, because making prints really has nothing to do with making the images. I hope that you understand that I believe that all of my photographs, both individually and in the aggregate, have intrinsic value. That they have a value just in the fact that you and others choose to view them, that you and others can learn from them, and that they'll be floating around the internet after all of us are long gone. And I hope that if you want prints of my images, prints without any watermarks or such, you will support my Patreon account, which entitles you to such images and prints thereof by getting the raw file. And I hope that even if you don't want prints, you'll still support my Patreon account, just because you like being able to view all of my images, or because you like reading my writings. Whatever brings you here, I appreciate it. I do not want to narrowly focus just on the small percentage of my images that meet the "I would put this on my wall" criteria. And this is very important, the effort spent in trying to print, frame, and sell the images take up plenty of time that is not spent making the images. To me, all of that is a huge waste of my time and my creativity. I would rather use my limited time and energy to just make the images, to just do what I'm good at doing. With Patreon, with your contribution, I can finally just focus on my work in general and share all of it with everyone, rather than deal with the very time-consuming inanity of printing and selling individual pictures. And I'll also be able to, as I will soon explain, provide you with prints of my pictures. I want to be able to tell stories with plenty of pictures, like that of these shrimpers in Louisiana arriving at the dock and offloading their catch. Although I think that very few of you would want any of these shrimper pictures on your wall, or as prints of any kind, I believe that most of you find value in being able to view these images and learn from them. Think about how time-consuming it would be for me to have to barter and negotiate or whatever for each individual picture, and think about how that entire time-consuming process doesn't use any of my photographic talent. My talents are much better suited to recording the entire story, composing images, processing all of the images, putting them together into one presentation, and sharing the entire presentation on the internet for the entire world to see forever. That is why I need your contribution, so that I can do that kind of work unencumbered by the focus on trying to sell each individual picture to an individual person. I would much rather, and the world would be better off with me, being able to create all of these images for the world to see and just give them away. The link to the story of the shrimpers is in the description, and I thank you for checking this out. We'll see you in the next episode. Thank you.